and don't touch the glass, and the drink is poisoned.
She tightened the knot of his silk tie. One slow, methodical pull that forced the most feared man in Seoul to lean just an inch closer. Naomi could feel the cold gaze of the 4 armed bodyguards behind her. Their hands were already white-knuckling their weapons, waiting for a single reason to end her life. But she didn't blink. She handled the boss with the calm authority of a woman who owned the floor.
She leaned into his ear, her lips so close that the scent of his expensive cologne clouded her senses. Her voice was ice as she whispered words meant for him alone. The sommelier didn't just serve you a vintage wine. He served you an obituary. The seal on that bottle was broken before it left the cellar. Don't touch the wine. She pulled back, meeting his dark, unreadable eyes for one heavy, eternal second. A small, ghost of a smile touched her lips as she added, "Red is definitely your color, Mr. Kong." Then she turned on her heel and walked away. Her heart was hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird, but she left the most powerful man in the city standing with a handful of death. 5 minutes ago, the world had been much simpler. Naomi had been sitting at a small table near the service entrance, far from the center of power. Before her was a glass of water she couldn't really afford, and a heavy silence she was used to. She had been in Seoul for 2 weeks, and so far, the city had been a series of closed doors and polite rejections. Her bank account was a countdown clock, ticking toward a zero that would leave her stranded. She had spent her life being the girl who saw too much. While others looked at the grand chandeliers or the expensive dresses, Naomi looked at the cracks. She noticed the way the security guards shifted their weight when they were bored, or how the happy couples never actually made eye contact. Her mother used to call it a curse, the inability to just be without analyzing every shadow. In this room of giants, she was a ghost. To the wealthy businessmen, she was just part of the furniture. And that was their first mistake. Because she was invisible, she saw the sommelier. He wasn't the regular staff. He moved with a stiffness that didn't match the others. When he reached for the wine bottle, his sleeve pulled back just enough to reveal a jagged scar on his wrist. It wasn't from a kitchen accident. It was the kind of scar earned in a fight. Naomi watched as he swapped the bottle. It was a fast move, but she caught the sunlight hitting the wax seal. It didn't have the dull, aged glow of a real vintage bottle. It was shiny, fresh, and slightly uneven. When he poured the deep red liquid into the glass, the server's fingers twitched. It was a tiny tremor, a split-second loss of nerve that told Naomi everything she needed to know. The wine wasn't meant to be enjoyed. It was meant to end a dynasty. She had 2 choices. Stay a ghost and watch a man die, or step into the light and risk everything. She looked at her reflection in the darkened window of the tower and stood up. She wasn't an outsider anymore. She was the only person in the room who truly knew what was happening. Naomi kept her pace steady as she walked away from the boss, but her eyes were already scanning the room for the man with the tray. He was standing near the marble pillar, his face a mask of calm, but Naomi saw the truth in his hands. He held the silver tray with a grip that was far too tight. His knuckles were white. This wasn't the stress of serving the rich. It was the adrenaline of a hunter waiting for the trap to spring. She slowed her walk, pretending to adjust her earring while she watched him through the reflection of a gold-framed mirror. The sommelier took a step toward the center of the room, his eyes darting toward the boss. Naomi saw his chest heave in a shallow, ragged breath. Then came the one mistake that confirmed everything. The sommelier's right hand drifted toward his pocket in a nervous twitch. He wasn't checking for a wine opener. He was checking for a way out. He looked at the wine glass in the boss's hand, the one Naomi had just warned him about. For a split second, the sommelier's mask slipped. His eyes widened with pure terror. He realized the boss wasn't drinking. He realized something had gone wrong. Naomi felt the air in the room grow cold. She was the only one who saw the poisoner's panic. She knew that once a man like that realized he was caught, he would either run or finish the job by force. She stood her ground, her braids falling over her shoulder as she watched the predator become the prey. The game had moved from a whisper to a standoff. The guards were closing in, their eyes scanning for a threat, but they were looking for guns and knives. They were looking for an army, not a glass of wine. Naomi was the only thing standing between the king of the city and a silent grave. The wolves were baring their teeth at the world, but the snake was already inside the circle. The boss looked down at the wine, then slowly turned his head to find Naomi in the crowd. His hand began to lift the glass to his lips. One sip would be the end. Would he trust the word of a stranger, or would he ignore the ghost who touched his tie? The life of the most powerful man in Seoul was about to be decided by a single drop. Click the next video to see the test of truth.